Is Upper Deck fearful of Fanatics growing monopoly in the sports market? And I've been saying it's not a it's a monopoly on basketball cards, football cards, and baseball cards, but it's not a monopoly overall. Even if they have other businesses under their umbrella, it's simply a vertical integration. It's not a monopoly except in the area of baseball, football, and basketball cards, because there are going to be other pricing tools. There's going to be other grading companies. There's other marketplaces, tons of those, breaking operations. So I don't think the word monopoly really it technically applies, but it's a convenient, easy thing for people to say. So, is there, the reason I'm bringing up Carlos's question here, because it kind of ties into this conflict of interest, concern that you have. What do you like? You say you feel strongly about it. What do you see the damage potentially being of the way that things are looking to be set up here in the future?
Well, look, I think, there's two levels to it, right? There's what's happening in our industry and then sports licensed products overall, with what's happening with Fanatics. And look, good business people, big company, they're going to do what they're going to do. The damage as far as collectibles, look, we're seeing this right now. The prime example is cryptocurrency and NFTs. The governments are all starting to crack down and eliminate it. Essentially, cryptocurrency exchanges are going away. I mean, the SEC sent a pretty strong message this last week. And why is that? It's because there was a lot of bad acting and conflicts of interest in that industry. The gambling industry is heavily regulated. Sports fantasy leagues are heavily regulated and illegal in some states. There could be some really dire consequences. And not only that, the reality is, what I'm always most fearful about in our industry in particular, whether it's this issue or issues in general, if collectors have bad experiences, it's very easy for them to find other places to spend their money, right? And even in collectibles, they can move to other industries like comic books or art or things of that nature. So if you create an environment that they don't trust, you're going to lose them, and the industry is going to shrink. It's a problem.
Okay, well, I hear you loud and clear. James here says, is it a conflict that the NFL, MLB, and players associations have equity ownership stakes in Fanatics?
I think the issue there is that there is no reason for them to ever look at another licensee. So okay. I'm kind of answering it without answer. I mean, it's just there's no reason for them to ever consider another licensee, no matter how good they are or what they're doing.
Which is sort of a monopolistic in nature to a degree. Yeah. Tabletop Gamer says, regarding conflicts of interest, how does that apply to serially numbered cards? What does Upper Deck do to assure that no one knows where the biggest, most valuable one of one and other cards are? And the reason why, this question is very timely is because there are all sorts of accusations and narrative on social media, on hobby social media, about loaded boxes going to certain outlets to be broadcast upon opening. And look, wonderful card. This is good for marketing. I'm going to ask you two questions here. So we have Tabletop Gamer's question, first of all, but also, do you think that there are loaded boxes going to certain people so that for marketing purposes or other?
So look, I can't speak to the way the other companies handle their business. What I know is that it's very hard with the way we mix the product to know where anything is, quite frankly. And it's all done out of house. It's done in another manufacturer's facility. Essentially, we give instructions. The cards all go to them. They mix it. We have no idea what's going, where. And we do a couple of case checks to make sure the mix is proper on every product run that we do. But we have no idea where any of that stuff ends up. And I'll give you a story just from personal experience. Back when I first started with the company, I was running baseball and basketball at the time. we had, it's very traditional in this industry for media outlets to get sample boxes of product to talk about them and give some breakdown of what they see. And I will never forget the horror from our football team when Beckett busted a box of Exquisite and hit the 1/1 Adrian Peterson Shield card before the product released. It was not intentional. And I'll tell you, it was watching those guys deal with the fallout of that was terrible, because it basically, before the product ever released, ruined the chase. The number one card in the product went to a media outlet. Nobody planned that. Nobody wanted that, right? But it happened. Completely fluke, completely accident. But unfortunately, that's the risk you run when you send boxes out to media. So even if you don't plan or send loaded boxes, somebody can get a box with the best hits just randomly. It's just the way it was. Because if you think about it, there's no upside for us to send Beckett, Jeremy Lee, Hockey Gong Show, like anybody, the best cards, because it only ends up in disaster for us in the product.